Ed Sheeran, let me ask you another question. Here's some lightning round questions. If you could get any watch brand tattooed on you.
Oh my God, you know, weirdly, I was thinking about this the other day, aside from watch brands, when I was getting my first round of tattoos, I almost got a watch tattooed here, almost. And like, I'm known for my terrible tattoos. I know this. Well, I mean, some of them are a bit weird. But yeah, I almost got a watch
What
tattooed.
watch would you have gotten
It was
tattooed?
that. I almost got that tattooed.
Would it have been photo, real, portrait?
I don't know. It would have been fucking dreadful. But
Hey everyone, welcome to Talking Watches. I am John Mayer, former interviewee of Talking Watches, now moving to the other side of your screen, and I am overjoyed and excited to interview one of my favorite people, one of my favorite musicians, and one of my favorite collectors, Ed Sheeran. Welcome to Talking Watches.
nice to be here.
We've been lucky enough to cross paths in New York City at the famous Hit Factory. It sees us in the studio today, not making music this time, but going through some of Ed's brilliant collection, a piece at a time. This represents not your entire collection, but the pieces that I think explain your POV on collecting, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, totally. These are like some from the start, some from the middle, and some really, really recent ones. But yeah, it's like more of an overview.
Yeah. Let's start with the watch that was your entree into wearing a watch and all that feels like in when you're younger and...
Yeah, it was this one. It's called a toy watch. I don't know if they make them anymore. It was basically, I bought it with my friend Jamal, who had one, and I loved that you could pop them out and you could change the straps. So you could basically I had this in like every single color.
Now, where in your music career was this watch?
I would have been like 18 or 19. I mean, it was an expensive watch to me at the time. It was like 80 quid. And it was, you know, I'd been doing gigs and I'd shot a like live DVD at a place called the Bedford. And I think I'd gone out to celebrate afterwards and bought that. And yeah, that was all I wore for up until like my second tour. Up until I was actually making money from music. That was all that I wore.
So the first record's out, A-Team is a hit, and you're wearing the toy watch.
Yeah. I didn't get a watch until I did A-Team, I did my first tour, and then the album came out, and then I did my next tour, and it was after that. It was that first Christmas that I bought a watch, and I was only ever intending to buy one watch.
I was just going to ask, did it? Oh, and we all do. We all think that's going to be it. So you get this, you wear it for a while. Oh, what's the next watch you see that you go, huh?
Do you know, it was, I was out in a place called Marbella in Spain with my friend Jamal as well, who I bought that with, and we were just around, I didn't really know what the watches were, but we were around a lot of guys that were wearing like rose gold offshores and rose gold big bangs, and that was like, and I remember seeing them and being like, I never even knew that watches I knew like these kind of watches, G-Shocks, Casios, Swatches, and then Rolex. And then I was sort of like, that's it.
That's right.
I remember hanging out with a DJ once who had a watch that he said had cost like a certain amount. And I was like, you spend that on watches? Okay, man. Like, and so I just assumed it was this and then Rolex. And then I saw all these watches around and I was like, what are these? And they were like, oh, this is a AP or this is a Hublot or whatever. And so that was when I was like, oh, maybe that's, if I'm going to get a watch, something like that. So it's not a Rolex in your face.
Yes.
Like everyone knows what a Rolex is. So.
Especially when you're coming up and you're playing music and you're just in that beginning phase of introducing yourself to the world. I had the first real sort of mechanical watch that I bought was an Explorer 2. And I hadn't even played on national television yet. And I remember my manager, I was playing Conan O'Brien, and my manager in the green room said, take that watch off. Please wear something different. Yeah. Because you're so early in your career to be wearing a Rolex, it doesn't send.
And is that why you lent into IWC then? Because it was just a bit more...
It wasn't for that reason, but I remember I wore his G-Shock on the very first appearance, and then I switched back to a Rolex. And there was this sense of like, oh, Rolexes are, at that time, it was Rolexes are for people who are from this whole other walk of life, and it's erudite and it's upper crust, and you can't be wearing a Rolex with a hoodie playing music when you're introducing yourself to the world. And maybe he was right, but as we figured out, you actually really can go on stage.
I think it's very much changed as well. Like when I first started buying watches, and I would say to my accountants, like, I would love to buy this watch every single time, and they were like,
that's right.
Okay. Whereas now it's like, I read an article on You where they said John Mayer has blown half his fortune on watches.
CNBC did an article that says John Mayer blew a quarter or a third of his earnings on watches, and that very outlet would go on to write stories about the incredible investment potential of watches and how everyone should take a look at it in their portfolio. And I went, do you want to delete that story yet? Blown on watches? And the other thing I want to say too is that culturally, stylistically, there's now this divorce that I think is really great between wearing an incredible perpetual calendar watch and not having to go to work at Goldman Sachs. You can wear a 5970J with a hoodie, and you could work at a tech company. Let me ask you one of my kind of questions that represent the way my mind works. Is this watch so important to you? I want to sort of gauge the intrinsic sentimental value of this watch for you. Would you trade this watch to keep this watch?
Honestly, I would trade every watch on this table for that watch.
Oh, I get it.
Every watch. Like
That's
that one, and especially the guy that I bought that with passed away last year.
I see.
And so that means a hell of a lot more to me, like even now. Like obviously it's my first watch, but even now that's like, I would trade everything for that.
Everything.
I would cry if I lost that watch.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that alone is insight into how collectors see watches, is that this is the most valuable watch on the table when it comes to the heart and soul. And I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
I really am, and I get it.
Second to actually the second watch, which is, watch nerds find Hublot to be, I don't know what they find. I don't understand it personally. This was like the second, I bought this my 21st birthday with Jamal. He bought exactly the same one. There's like 100 of them and they're all numbered, and we bought them in Paris together. And, it's the thing that I've sort of fell into love with mechanical watches with this watch. And I find it like, people have this thing about Hublot, and I get it to a point, like it's not the same as certain other brands, but for me, that is a great watch. I've worn that on maybe 100 shows, and I love it.
But that's the sign of a great collector, right? There's two ways to look at a watch. First way is to look at it and ask yourself, do I like it? Second way, and I think is the more popular way, unfortunately, is to look at it and then to sort of consult the larger cultural weather report on the watch. Well, what does the world think of that? And then what would that mean for me? And what makes you such a great collector, and I think a great artist in person, is you look at something and your relationship is between you and that thing. And you really are so good about not contaminating your point of view on something when you look at it. And I would argue like a true watch nerd would say that mechanically speaking, a Hublot is a great watch.
I've never had that serviced, and I've had that 12 years, and it works exactly the same as when I got it. And I've really worn that. I've really battered that. And I find that also, like, what's cool, what's the Grandpa Simpson thing, where he was like, I used to be it, and then they changed what it was, and now I don't know what it is. Yes. And, like, I find, like, I've never been cool. I've always been a little bit odd, and I just like what I like. And I don't know, sometimes it goes in fashion, sometimes it goes out of fashion.
Can I say something? You've just defined, to me, what cool is.
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
And I can say this about my own career and being so far down the line now, if you've never been cool, you've kind of always been cool.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a little pat, but if you've never registered with the cool tribunal of any one year or month,
because it all goes out of fashion.
It all goes out. All of it. And this is what makes this is why I just love your brain so much. When you got this, did then you feel like you had arrived? Now you have a mechanical watch. This should be it, or did this just break open?
The second watch I bought actually was a rose gold Big Bang. So it was this one, and then it was a rose gold Big Bang, and then it was that one, and this was more like I needed something subtle that like a rose gold Big Bang
Right.
as your one and only watch going anywhere. It stands out like, I mean, it's a gold watch. So I wanted something more subtle. So this became that. And yeah, after that, I don't know, once you've got 2 mechanical watches, you're sort of then looking into stuff and what's next. And I got a Volcano Audemars, and that was like the next one. And then
That's the orange.
yeah, but I sent it. I got it, and then I was like, I kind of want this to be black and orange. So I sent it to a company and got it matte blacked. And so, yeah, I don't know why.
But I know why, and that will carry on all the way up until the watch we look at later on, which is a piece unique from AP, which I think has the same thought process behind it as you saying, I want that to look different. And that makes you an artist. You're looking and go, wish it had this and that and that. Not in a way where most people sort of go to message boards or post message board now, but Instagram comments and start saying it should be this and that. You really look at it and go, I don't care what it does to the value of the watch. I would appreciate it more if it looked X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done that with, I developed a close relationship with George Bamford like maybe 10 years ago. I quite like the customization side of things.
Would you still do that now with a Patek, knowing sort of what they're, you would still take something and
if I'm gonna wear it, I had an it's a bracelet version of the 5726 that is just
the annual calendar,
just black. It's just
yeah.
black, and I get it with its face changed for every album. So George does me a yellow one for Subtract that I can then swap out with a red one for Equals, and it's just something that I just swap in and out. I feel like I've got watches that are respectful to being a watch collector and being like, these are the classics, but also like sometimes you want to spray paint your car.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's fine.
Okay, so on this table, pick out the one that you think flies most under the radar and is also one of the most important watches. What could you still, to this day, kind of get away with wearing without someone sort of identifying it as...
Do you know, weirdly, and it is there's a couple. I mean, there's a Tudor here that yes, but this one flies the most under the radar because it just looks like a watch.
Yeah.
Even though it is it's a piece unique.
That's what's interesting about it. Tell people about what's unique about this World Time.
So this, I think, I'm going to say this a few times about watches, about like what's my favorite watch or not, but this I think is the coolest watch that I own. I got a couple of piece uniques through Patek, and I thought that this would be too much of an ask because I didn't know how they were with like real estate on World Times. Mm-hmm. My hometown is called Framlingham. There's about 2,000 people that live there. I grew up there. It's what the song Castle on the Hill is about. And it's just a tiny town. There's not much that goes on there. We've got a kebab shop. We've got like one cafe. We've got, a couple of pubs, but it's not like Singapore going on there or Doha or whatever. So I asked if they could replace London with Framlingham because that's my home. Mm-hmm. And wherever I was in the world, I could click it round and I could always see what the time was in Framlingham, basically. And so this one would fly under the radar more.
Yeah, and means so much to you. And
yeah,
the other thing is, this is such a great sort of header for this whole conversation of you collecting these watches purely from the heart, because
no one can own this watch but me.
It would hold no value to anyone else as a unique watch. And there's only one element different, I think, is just that one word. And I actually think if you're Patek Philippe, those are the piece unique requests that you're the most likely to honor when they are two things: personal, sort of thoughtful in terms of their overall design aesthetic, and obviously so unique to you that it's not going to be thrown out into the market.
I can't imagine this popping up on...
There's only 1,999 other people who have any interest in that watch. It's a very limited demographic.
Yeah, it's also like, it's a place where people go to retire as well, so yeah.
And you still live there? You still have a place?
Yeah, I live like in the area nearby, but that's where my wife's from. That's where we went to high school together. That's where, I've lived, that's the only place I've really lived properly. I bought a place there in 2012, and yeah, it's my home. Give
me the use case for when you would put that watch on. What event, what time of year would you put that watch on?
I went to my old high school, did an awards evening where they're handing out best homework for the year or whatever, and I was the surprise person giving out the awards. And the last time I wore this was for that. And I just thought that was quite cool to wear in Framlingham, and it's called Framlingham, and yeah, it's great.
Up until this video, nobody would have had any idea that's what the watch was.
No, so I've seen it on a couple of watch blogs. I think there was one for a boutique in Edinburgh that was done that was a similar colour. But this basically, because Patek are really particular as well with it, because they were like, it has to be a colour scheme that is in no other watch. So they give you like a real
So that
parameter.
color in the center is unique.
This is it. It's complete. There will not be one like this. And I really wanted it to be enamel of the
guilloche.
I wanted him to do
ask you.
painted enamel of the castle on the hill.
I was going to ask you. Did you ask for that?
I did, yeah.
Well, sometimes
You get what you're given.
Yeah, well, but sometimes if you over ask. Did you ever, any of these pieces, did they take the full-on class photo of the watch and give it to you in the leather portfolio?
No,
They used to do that.
No. But I liked the process of it, of being. It wasn't just they sent you a design and went, that's
Right.
it.
What did you do? Did you start the design process? If you're requesting a piece unique, will you have someone or yourself go into Photoshop and take a watch and change the color and show them?
No, I just visited them. I went over and was like, I think I'd had one piece unique before, and then I was like, I'm just gonna go over and meet Thierry, with Thierry, and we had what do we have? Fondue. And drunk a hell of a lot of wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's when I sort of was like, do you think that this is a possibility?
The most recent piece unique, the most recent watch attributed to you, and a watch I think people are going to be excited to see and surprised to see the details of, which is your piece unique white ceramic QP.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I thought, like the rest of the watch world, it was just a quote-unquote panda. I thought it was a white dial with black subdials, off we go, and I thought, okay, that's an interesting way to spec a watch, cool. And then when we hung out a couple weeks ago in Atlanta and I put the watch on, I went, oh. So this is actually exciting because this is the first time people are going to see a close-up of this dial and see exactly what's going on.
So I got Francois to make me a piece unique for the mathematics tour. And I was like, do you think you can do me a white perpetual? And he was like, sent me loads of designs of it. And as it was going through, I was like, it'd be cool to have something that sums up everything. And so I wanted this to be a watch that I could wear forever and remember the last 13 years of my career. So on the back, it has all of the mathematical symbols.
On the rotor, which is really cool, to hand engrave a rotor that stays even enough to be an oscillating rotor and have the graphic that you want, which I think is so cool. To me, when I see an AP with a custom rotor, that means you know the people in that building. And I also love, and I think you can see this in the photo up close, it's pretty well worn. I mean, white ceramic, the links tend to sort of grab onto fibers of shirts, and so in between the cracks, it's not dirt, it kind of pulls in the fibers of your shirt, but I actually think there's scratches on it and little
I wear it a lot.
Sort of.
I wear it a lot. It's
Is it chipped in a couple of places, or is it just
probably
some scratches?
It's all scratched, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it basically incorporates all the colors of the album. So there's like light blue, orange, yellow, red, green, and then on the 28 and 17, they're marked out as red, and those are my daughter's birthdays. And do you know, it's quite a loud watch. What I like about the white ceramics is they just stand out and they're so clean. It's like white watches don't usually remain that clean.
That's right.
And these just are just...
Right, because they're non-porous and you could just throw them under the faucet.
Yeah.
I saw you at your stadium show and it was...
Just stands out,
It stands out. And I also wondered, what do the people in this crowd think that is? Are you aware that Instagram is always tracking what you're wearing, and do you pay attention?
Every now and then, I'm intrigued when something like that pops up, what they think. Or like, I was intrigued that I was like, oh, it's mad that they think this is an Edinburgh boutique thing. I find that intriguing, but I went such a deep dive into it that I'm now like wearing, I've been wearing that quite a lot now, you know?
That's where we're at. So let me ask this question. If you had to do over again, would you have been photographed wearing a 5711 Tiffany blue Tiffany Patek Philippe?
The thing is, it was worn the day that I got it. I was playing with Eminem at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and for me it was like, that's the memory of that watch. Getting that day. I was with my dad. My dad didn't really know much about Tiffany or Patek, and I was explaining it to him, and like, so not really. I wouldn't necessarily, like that just, it's a very charged watch. I wouldn't necessarily wear that a lot ever.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's like, that's just something that needs to stay in a bank vault.
That's right. And it does. And I think it's important that people know that these watches come from and will return to a bank vault. These are not Ed's watches that he rolls with in a duffel bag on tour. These were specially brought, sourced, and will be returned as safely as they were brought here. Have you ever had a watch that you said you would baby? It was very valuable. This one I'm just going to sort of keep. And then one night alone in your house, you go, I'm going to give this to myself. I'm going to wear this whenever I want. Or all of these, you do like, well, I've seen people rip the seal from the Patek Philippe off with their teeth and throw everything away and just go. So from the very beginning when you buy
that's one thing I did at the beginning, because I had no idea you were meant to keep watch boxes and papers. I used to have the first Patek I bought, I took everything out of it, chucked the papers away, and I used to keep rolling papers and weed in it.
That's great.
But I didn't know that you were meant to. It was only like later on down the line I was like, yeah, I probably should have kept them. I have no idea where they are.
But this is what makes you so pure.
It's a great box for rolling papers.
The biggest interconnected group of watches on this table are perpetual Patek Philippe, and you sort of have a chronological history to some degree of perpetual calendar Patek Philippe, beginning with a 2499, which I would be shocked if it was the first one that you bought. What was the first on this table? What was the first perpetual?
It was a 5970, but it was actually the deep dive into it came from an article that you guys had written on all the perpetual calendars that had come out, and I just sort of worked my way backwards, ending with a 1518, and that was very much like, I want to collect the collection of it, and it's
great run.
It's quite I've got a few 5970s though. I think they're my favorite out of them. I know you swear by them, but you're more 5004 supremacy, right?
Yes. So I believe I was the one who told you to get the 5970p.
You told me to get it, and I was like, no fucking way, John. Like, I'm not spending that amount on a watch. And then like a couple of years later, I was like, everything that you told me up until that point had come true. It was like prophecy, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get it. And it was, it was the first proper grand complication watch that I had. I bought it when my second album Multiply came out, and I remember I wore it on all those like promo gigs and being like, it just fits well and it's not loud.
It's brilliant. I still look at that watch, and I have a 5970p, and I still look at it and I go, why shouldn't it be that one forever? When I saw new Patek at Watches and Wonders, and you have to understand, I don't eulogize a watch brand changing. To me, when a watch brand changes, if you already own some of their earlier stuff, it's win-win. This is what's important about collecting, is that these pieces continue to grow in contrast with what continues to be released. And this reminds me of the moment in my life where I felt like I broke in to an echelon I wasn't allowed into, and was able to myself co-opt this watch. I mean, remember my line, I said, I like pick up dog poop.
I clean up dog poop wearing a Patek.
This was way before anyone would wear this with jeans and a t-shirt or a hoodie, an off-white hoodie in this, or play music on stage with it. I don't think, Eric Clapton was the only person. So that is my sermon on the 5970, and why I think it will continue to be this great relic of a kind of stand-up, staid, stoic, if not even a little stodgy. I like watches that remind me of a person I have never been.
Do you think there is something oddly sports watch about it?
Yes, it's a Daytona to me.
Yeah, way
Yes.
more than I would say there is in a even like a Calatrava or something like
Oh,
that. So
it's-
maybe you are like if you put a rubber strap on that.
And I've put this
does-
on this cuff. I've had that watch on this cuff before.
Yeah.
Is this the original buckle?
No,
Do you have the original buckle?
I don't know.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Actually the strap that I first got with that was a really dreadful strap. But I
Yeah, they should be. They're the really bad, thin leather, fake crocodile straps. On
No,
those watches.
I have a Newman dial Daytona, the 1518 Patek, and then this. I have them all on these. I mean, I would say these are. Would you say they're Newman straps?
Yeah, they're
those
racing cuffs. They're racing
Yeah.
stylish. Could I talk to you about why I think the 5004? Well,
You love it.
I think the 5004 to me is the most exciting Patek Philippe watch to me that's ever existed. When I first saw the 5004, I was shocked at the size of the crown and shocked at the mechanism of the crown, that you would actuate the split second by pressing in on the crown. That crown is so big compared to the rest of the watch that it's almost like it looks like it's like a valve that needs to be hooked up to some kind of tubing or something. It's very large. And so to me, it's just so whimsical in a certain way. And it's strong. Although it's an incredibly small watch, it's like, what, 35 and a half millimeters or something.
Yeah,
And-
I'm
and-
with you on like I'm like size is a big thing when it comes to like I like the daintiness of this as well, and the newer version of it I just think is too chunky.
No, I want to
think
live
it's
in a
too chunky.
37 millimeter world. Will Ed Sheeran wear a leather strapped watch on stage knowing there will be sweat?
Yeah, always.
Is there sweat in these?
I actually got that specially made for the 5208. I said, can you do me a rubber lined strap for stage?
You're the best. You're the best. You sort of have this mindset where you kind of work at their factory. And you sort of, but it's beautiful. It's going, hey, I have a use case, I have a need. Can you, and this is what I think watch brands love is, oh, you have a need, we want to fulfill the need, especially when it comes to stage.
I mean, it's not the same with ceramic AP bracelet, but I said to Francois, can you do me a rubber strap for those? So those actually remove and you can put a rubber strap on it and have that be...
So you've got a rubber strap with the plots here that would go into the
and
case.
and it's basically a rubber strapped perpetual calendar.
It's a rubber strap with 2 ceramic plots on
Yeah.
each side. That's very
cool.
cool. Hey, here's a fun story about this 5208, which is the only watch that I feel like I missed. I feel like I missed the 5208P. Should have done it, didn't do it, and I make the mistake that I think a lot of watch collectors make. I saw the price and I went, well, I can't do that. But I could do 4 watches that are a quarter of the price of that. And I wish I had skipped 4 smaller watches and bought the 5208.
In context, I wouldn't have done that now. It was the time that happened that I did that, and it was...
You wouldn't have bought this looking back on it? A 5208?
No, as in now. I wouldn't have bought it now. But the context of when I got that was basically the 2017 was my most successful year. I won the award for the best-selling artist worldwide and was the biggest selling artist in the world that year. And that was to basically mark that of like, this was a great year. But like, I wouldn't do that now for the sake of it. Like I did that to be like, this is the best year I've had in my career.
But it's such a brilliant watch.
It's like a whole process going through that as well. I had to be interviewed like a bunch of times for it.
It's very rare that you hold a new watch and a new Patek Philippe and you go, this is a modern classic. This is, you just know where a watch like this is going. And fun story, you and I crossed paths in Tokyo when I was playing at the Budokan, and you had this watch on in the dressing room, and I flipped over it like I just did. And you said, why don't you wear it for the show? And I wore this watch. Didn't I wear this for the
show,
performance?
yeah.
So I wore a 5208 that was Ed's.
And no one picked up on it as well. I thought it would like
No,
come out somewhere.
I missed the 5208P. Now we have the 5308, which excites me greatly. And maybe I'll nut up and get that at some point. Now there's one watch on the table that I think people might be familiar with if they've seen you do your solo shows and seen you do your Subtract Sundays. It is a yellow G-Shock that I'd love you to be the first to explain to people what it is.
So you called me, I think it was second day of my tour. Obviously, you've been making with Hodinkee these G-Shocks, which I've been wearing a lot as well. I fucking love them. And you said, I would love to do some with some friends, and I would love for you to be the first friends to do it with. And I said, great. I mean, my idea was to do my album, and I thought we would go with Subtract, and this is the 6900 G-Shock Subtract.
By Ed Sheeran.
And yeah, it's do you know what I find? It's very similar to this. It's loud. It sticks out, and that's why I love wearing these two for the shows. This is very much Subtract. This is very much the Mathematics Stadium, and you know, I would say that this gets more wear out and about than anything else, because I know that if I lose this, I can get another one. I'm very careful of, I get asked to do this for this watch and this for this watch, or judge this for this watch, and I'm very careful of being like, I don't want to like, aside from just wear brands that I like, I don't want to align.
You want to be watch agnostic.
Yeah.
And you want to be a lover of all brands.
Where there's something in this, and I love that all of my mates who are watch guys have at least one of your G-Shocks. All
that's
of them.
great.
Like, and it's something that is collectible for all collectors.
Yes, and for after talking about these pieces that for most people, let's be honest, are unattainable, to give people a watch that is as exciting to you as any of these watches on the table, and they can join
And
in on
probably
the
wear
excitement.
as much as,
That's right.
wear more than most of these
That's
watches
right.
on the table.
It helps bring people who are interested in watches and interested in you into the fray so they can participate. It doesn't matter that it's a G-Shock. G-Shocks are great. It comes from you. It's your expression. It gets people excited. I think when people see it, they're going to want to throw it on. And then all of a sudden, we're talking about a $180 watch that can express to other people that you're passionate about watches, even if you're not able.
Yeah, when I see people in the Hodinkee Meyer ones, I'm like, I know you're a watch. It's the same way as seeing someone in a moon swatch. You just know.
Yes. To imbue a watch like a G-Shock with the same spirit of passion you have for these pieces into this, and it's a talking point for people. If I'm wearing this watch and I see someone else wearing the watch, we're gonna have a conversation. I don't care who you are, we're talking. I'm gonna go, what's up? And that's what people do. If you were wearing this watch and I was wearing that, we go, what's up? And it brings the culture of watch collecting to everyone. And that's what I love about it. And it's also really, really well rendered. So you're doing it.
We're doing it. Well, I'm announcing it now. We haven't agreed
Going
on it, but
on.
we're
Okay, so
announcing
this
it
is
now.
collect them all. When we're talking about watches that are hard to obtain, there is a difference between rare and desirable. Some things are just very desirable, even though there's many of them. Some things are incredibly rare because of the number that are made of them. And I think the most rare watch in the world right now is Kikuchi Nakagawa's
There's a couple of these actually.
Murakamo wristwatches, and I want you to tell me about those.
So this was, I was in Japan, actually the same time that I saw you, and you mentioned them, and I just got in touch with them, and they came to my hotel to show me their watch that they'd made. They've got two now, but they came to show me this, and I had a look at it, and I ordered one. Then my wife fell pregnant, and yeah, I mean, I order a lot of watches, and they sort of come at different times, but this came the same day that I got the 5711. This came, and I was like, this is the watch I want to give her on her 18th birthday.
Oh.
And it has, you know, the date she's born and her name on the back of it, and then I did the same thing with my second daughter, like they're the same thing, and yeah, they're just great. They're just great. There's something in Japanese culture that they just do everything that we do but better. Like the beer there is better, the food there is better. I went to go to get a McDonald's there. It's better. You know, they do everything at such a high standard. And I'm a big Seiko guy as well, but I love the way, I mean, these are like Swiss watches that are made by two guys I know they are, it's an outhouse movement, but it's just
But
the
finished in a way that's really,
just
really
the way
beautiful.
that they're finished.
And the hands, these sort of black oxidized hands, and they're really based off of Patek Calatrava
Totally,
Reference
yeah.
96, and really like there are a couple of different Breguet numeral styles. You know, you say Breguet numerals, it's a little bit of a catch-all for maybe 3 or 4 different ways to do it. This is really the stout kind of original way.
They're just great, man. They're great.
It's I keep telling people, I go, if you looked up watch in the dictionary, it would just be this. And to me, it's the width of the strap and how much of the actual case width it covers as well. I got to put it on too. So I believe I have number 3 of these with a black dial, and honestly have yet to wear it. And the way my mind works is keep it clean until the day you want to gift it to yourself, and then you go, all right, it's mine now. Because I do feel like watches, when I buy them, if I haven't worn them yet, still live in this sort of purgatory of could be this sort of perfect little collectible. Now, I wouldn't collect something I wouldn't wear, which I know gets confusing, but theoretically to own it but not have it on yet, there will be a night I'll go, you know what, this is my watch for the year or something.
There is something really exciting about where it's going as well. Even the new one that they've just brought out, I got a couple of, and they're just great. They're just great watches.
It works for people who have already been seen wearing really ornate, highly complicated watches to just wear this. It's just undercutting everyone. And if you looked at it, you wouldn't know what it was. And they're not entirely expensive as watches go, but you'd have to, well, before this video, you'd have to know about them, make contact with them, and then make a deposit and
it's
wait.
A wait, yeah,
and wait. I believe the website, how many months a wait is there on the website?
Oh, it says between 96 and 120 months, which is very...
Yes. Well, depending on how things go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they're great. But on the subject of like a long wait and really, really, really rare watches, like this for me was, I got this for my wedding, and I got a matching one for my wife has a 38mm.
What watch is this?
This is an R.W. Smith, and he was basically George Daniels' protege, and he learned watchmaking through that. Every single thing of this watch is handmade by him. Like the whole thing, and it's got like a cherry blossom inlay on the back.
beautiful.
And no one really talks about British watchmaking. It's always Swiss or German or Japanese. But in terms of like British watchmaking, I know George Daniels is like the godfather of it. But I just think this guy just makes amazing watches.
How do you do with waiting? You know, you put an order in for a watch. It might be, it's not 128 months, but...
I mean, this took a long time.
Do you like waiting?
This took... we got engaged in 2017. I ordered this, and we got married in the end of 2019. So that was like a good... It was a good like 2.5 years waiting for that. And that's what I quite like sometimes about the wait lists on things. You know, you order something, and like this piece unique. Like if this was a wait, you know, I wait for it, and you know it's coming, and you get excited about it. It's not just like, hey, can I have it, and it arrives the next day.
I enjoy the wait. I love the wait. I wouldn't have thought that I would think that when I was younger, but the wait is part of the ownership. When it's in the queue and you know you'll get a call at some point, it's a fun way to live because you get it, you slice the box open, you go, oh, there it is, put it on, and you kind of miss the moments when you were waiting for it because you know it's sort of over. Would you say that at all times there's always something being made for you that you're waiting for, and if there wasn't, you'd be a little empty inside?
No, I think that's just part of collecting anything. There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always something in the works.
Have you ever given someone a watch when you were drunk?
Yeah, lots of times.
You ever woken up and regretted giving that person that watch?
No, because I think it's all part of the... I don't actually ever regret anything, really. That's all part of the story.
I drunk gave someone a watch one time.
What watch?
It was a really cool Date Just with a blue burst dial and diamond markers. And I think it was two-tone, which made it kind of like really kind of funky and porny. And I put it on someone's wrist, and I was like, I want you to have this. And the next morning I woke up and I was like...
That's a great story.
I was like, Mayor, deal with that. You did that, and that's awesome, and that's how it goes when you drink. But I actually was happy to do it. I mean, we're not always that drunk to the point... I mean, you wouldn't put a 5004 on someone's wrist if you were...
No. No, but my favorite thing in the world is to give people watches and see them then change into watch people. I gave a watch to someone, and then the next week I saw them with a moon swatch on, and I was like, okay.
Meaning
They
right.
got a watch, and then they were like, do you know what? I really like watches. What am I deep diving into? And
You're an enabler.
I like it. You're an enabler as well, though. the amount of people that, not just me, that are just like put onto watches through you, and yeah.
You know, if you're friends with us, we're gonna make sure that you skip over the 12 to 20 what I would call airport watches. Back in the day when you'd be, have you bought a watch at an airport when you were bored? Yeah, I call them Heathrow watches. You know, you're tired, you're hungover, you're jet lagged. You got 40 minutes in a duty-free airport, and you go, let me look over in this watch place, and you see a Gerard Perregaux World Time, and you go, ring me up. And then by the time you take a nap and you're back in your bed and you wake up, you go, well, I got that now. And anytime I think we can get our friends to skip those, what I call safe dwellers, and get them straight into, it's like tattoos too, you know? Like, don't you feel like...
I wish I could redo that. But also, like...
That's the journey.
But
That's the journey.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. It's not that far off from how I see it, but like everything else in life, you're just a little better than I am.
I'm not saying I would never sell a watch either. I'm just saying these particular watches.
These ones on this table.
Yeah.
This calls into question, you're spending money, and that money is gone. You're not seeing these watches any longer as potential future money. They are forever watches.
I see them like I see wine. They are to be enjoyed. They are to be enjoyed. I don't get any of these and go, this was smart.
And this was smart.
I get them because I love them.
Okay. Do you get pleasure from finding out that a watch you bought is 4 times more valuable? Even though you're not going to cash out, isn't it nice to know that the thing you're wearing is 4 times more valuable than the day you bought it?
Me personally, no, because I like wearing them out and about.
No, wear them out and about, but even just intellectually.
I find myself, like you, out and about, leaning to G-Shock more now, just being like, I don't want...
So you think, okay, this is interesting. Because you're never going to sell them, it becomes a burden that they're that valuable and makes them harder to wear.
No, I'm not... burden's the wrong word, but like I bought... I used to... but like... look for watch brands that weren't necessarily the known ones and have them and be able to wear them out to this or that. And I remember buying, back in the day, a few Richard Milles before. I know I probably pronounced that wrong. I don't care.
That's great.
And that was I'd fly under the radar anyway because it wasn't like a precious metal. It wasn't like showy. And then suddenly they became showy, and then I was like, oh, I can't wear these anymore.
Yeah, for me, everything sort of leads to the jumbo. It just, all roads just end up with a jumbo or something like it, which is something very seemingly plain Jane with a little bit of extra.
But that's why I love the Odysseus. It's like I never liked steel bracelet ever.
Mm-hmm.
I was always I think that's why I always went like black rubber bracelet. That's why I liked Hublot. That's why I liked like this. I just liked something. I think pale skin tattoos, whatever. But the older I've got, the more I've got into steel bracelets, and I love that each brand has their own blue face steel bracelet thing.
And these are hard to get. I don't think they're making a lot of those, and they could move all their production into that and sell a bunch of them. And
well, this was. I mean, I wore this for pretty much the entirety of the pandemic. I loved this one. I'd gone to play in Germany and I'd bought a Zeitwerk, and I loved the digital look of a Zeitwerk. And then when they brought these out, I was just like, there's something I know Patek do it now, but there's something in the resizing of it with the just pressing a button and you've had a bit to drink the night before, your skin's a bit puffy, and you put on a watch and it can fit perfectly.
Or that has an adjuster on it.
Yeah, I think this was the first big watch brand to do it. I think that I'd never seen this before.
We're getting a nod from the judge.
Still one of the best.
Yeah, Have you, mate? Try it on.
I've never seen it.
I think I'm gonna make you a Langer guy by the end of this.
Well, so this is what I wanted to say about a watch like this. So this many years into my collecting, with so much of sort of a vertical approach to collecting, I find it difficult to get into a brand I have not owned.
But you are going into FP Journe.
I am going into FP Journe. It's the first new brand I think I've bought in 10 years. I could be wrong. Ben knows probably better than I do. I don't think I've bought... I mean, I did buy a Vacheron Heritage 222, which made me buy an original steel 222. I just bought an original steel 222. But with so much in my collection already, the question is, can you buy just one watch from a brand and be seen? You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what it looks like. But
I think you can and you can't. I think if you buy one from Lang, later on down the line, you'll go for one of the really grand complication ones.
I know what I want from Lang.
Yeah.
I want a Loom datograph. That would be like, okay, I'd have to do that.
Come on, man.
No, I love it.
Come on.
I'll
the
tell you
bracelet
this.
and the bracelet online does not give justice to what actually the bracelet is like in person.
They have the best fonts. They have the best fonts on their dials, I think. Dial typography means everything to me. I'm a graphic.
Mate, I think
they're the best.
that's a bit of you. I think that's a bit of you.
Well, I will share this with you, and I would love to know your thoughts on it. I've gotten to a point now where I feel like the pieces in my collection are so representative of times in my life that I cherish, that the fight for wrist time with new watches is getting more and more difficult. Do you find when you buy a new watch, it's got to fight these other ones to get wrist time, or is it sort of roller derby? And at any moment,
I think they all have to have purpose and function. So I've actually only recently got into Rolex, like only recently, and it started with a Batman, and I was like, oh, quite like this. And the purpose is everyday wear.
yes, it would have to be, because you've already started in these really complex, complicated watches. So the appeal of a Rolex becomes what, sportier, more daily wear, more easy to sort of traverse the world at large wearing a watch that's less complicated and sort of fragile than these.
Yeah,
pieces.
and I think it comes from I travel a lot, and you don't want to travel with a lot of things, and also I know that if I lost one, you could go and get one the same day, not necessarily.
Right.
It might have to be grey market or whatever, but
Right.
It's not like if I lost that.
Yeah.
I'm never getting that again.
Yeah,
ever.
and you're going to find it pretty quickly. I always think to myself, there's certain watches, if you were to take from me, I would say, you better flush it down the toilet or smash it under your foot, because I'm going to find it, right? Like, it's some of these watches, and I hate to even bring energy to this thought, but some of these watches are so high up in the echelon of watch collecting that you'd get a call from someone after it flipped 3 times through a pawn shop, then a jeweler, then a watch collector. They would go, hey, this is someone's.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to talk about in terms of being a musician and touring and having watches be a part of your touring life. You and I are both solo artists. It's lonely for anyone on the road, but when you're a solo artist, there's a sort of confinement that takes place throughout a tour. Do you find that a watch keeps you company in a certain way, that you picking what watch you're going to bring on tour is a way of sort of having a companion, so to speak?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a big. No one who doesn't collect watches or travel would sort of understand. But the choice of, I've come to America for 9 months. This is the first time I've seen these watches in 3 months. But for the next 6 months, I won't see them again. And it's very much like, what is my sidekick going to be for that 9 months? And I flip between the Jumbo and the 5711 that I got on my first daughter's birthday, but those are the ones that they're always going to be my sidekicks, and there's something in it. I just love them.
You might not know what city you're waking up in, but you get to strap the watch on and go, oh, okay, it's me and my sidekick. Sidekick's a great way to put it. I actually think there will be more people who relate to that than who tour. You made a Tudor watch to celebrate the Divide tour. I am lucky enough to be
That's because John brokered the deal. I basically said I want to get some special watches made for my tour crew at the end of the tour, and John said, I think you'd mentioned that they'd done one for Facebook.
Yeah, no one knows this.
Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it. I could wear it anytime I want. Tudor did a corporate custom order, which they will do, for Facebook. And I have some friends at Facebook, and some of them had a Facebook headquarters sort of watch club. And I find the custom dial Tudor so curious and interesting and novel. And so I have a Facebook tutor, which to me, when I look at it, I go, this is so, I don't even know what it's worth. I don't even know if what's a Facebook tutor?
There was one that sold like 2 months ago.
Did it really?
Yeah, I didn't see what it went for, but there was one out.
There've been a couple of these that have sold.
I've seen
Oh,
them.
have you seen these sell? Are you upset that any of them sold?
No, because the pandemic happened and touring stopped. So like, who am I to say?
Right.
I was actually really sad when I saw it. Not like sad, like how dare you, but I was really
Right.
sad that obviously no one toured for
Right,
18 months
right,
or whatever, and it's people's livelihoods. And I guess kind of happy that they had something to sell. But
Do you know what they went for?
Yeah, like 30 grand or something like that. Yeah, pretty
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the back of it has a really cool message too.
Yeah, so it just says, thank you for all your hard work on this tour, love Ed, and then Divide Tour. I mean, we sold like 9 million tickets on this tour. It's still the most attended tour of all time, and the people that were on the road, they missed like kids' birthdays, funerals, weddings, like all of this stuff. And I bonus every year. I give everyone a Christmas bonus, and we do gifts throughout the tour, like rain jackets or fucking mugs or all of this stuff. But there's something in, especially with watches, because they're my passion. There's something in being like there was such a limited amount of people on the tour that even knew Tudor or anything. They were just like, oh, this is cool. And I quite like that because they all wear it on tour.
Yep.
On tour, like all the guys on tour, it's sort of like a badge of honor.
It's the
like,
watch version of a satin touring jacket.
Yeah. Every single one of the touring crew, I don't think there's really anyone that keeps it in a safe at home for safekeeping. They all wear it with pride, and it's sort of like we survived the Divide Tour.
I always feel like when someone has a birthday on the road, I feel so guilty. My guitar tech had his birthday about 2 days ago, and I came up to him, I was like, happy birthday, man. And what you really want to say is, thank you so much for spending your birthday.
I think it's more kids' birthdays, man. That's what really breaks my heart when someone's like, because I will do like, a crew member would be like, can you say happy 5th birthday to my daughter or something like that? And I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry for like taking daddy off the road. I mean, I get it because it's like people's livings, but I find it's just a way to say thank you. And also, they all got into watches after this, so now they're all like,
every time you think you're doing someone a favor by gifting them a watch or helping them get a watch, you're actually setting them back financially forever in their, because I don't know of anyone who hasn't gotten the bug. You know who didn't get the bug was Andy Cohen. I introduced Andy Cohen at the AP house to a 16202, and God bless him. I like the fact that he just looked at it and went, okay. And it never came up again. And that I find really honest.
Did he buy it?
No, it just didn't.
Would have been cool if he just bought it and then was just like, okay, that's just my watch forever. And
he
like
has
seeing,
one that's forever.
I always like seeing Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney always has the same always.
The same Aquanaut.
I love it. Which was a gift. And he was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Paul McCartney, first time I ever met Paul McCartney was in the studio. These are good meetings for us, right? We're young. You're in the studio. You think that a guy like Paul McCartney is going to be just dripping in the finest clothes. He's already Paul McCartney. The first time I ever saw him was when it was called Ocean Way Studios. He had maybe $15 worth of clothes on him. Just a t-shirt and shorts. I mean, the watch, he probably still had the Aquanaut on. And I remember going, oh, you don't have to. And if you think that's a wild story that's just orphaned from what we're talking about, it does sort of coincide with what we're talking about when it comes into watches. People know that you have Francois, CEO of Audemars Piguet, on speed dial, that I can reach out to anyone from any brand. So at that point, it's not a show of great status. Now it becomes a show of taste. If you play a really great show in one of these watches, do you ever get superstitious and continue to wear the same watch, hoping the run continues? Are you like a baseball player hitting home runs? Does one watch lock and you go, I can't take it off now, I'm playing great shows?
I have to say, man, like the stadium show, as you saw, is very much, it is just locked and is what it is. So unless something fucks up in the show, it's a good enough show. It does its thing. But yeah, I'd say, I don't know, I don't change watches that part of me likes the idea of like a stage outfit. I put on the same thing for every gig. I love Coldplay, and I love that Chris Martin always looks the same at every gig. He's got a stage outfit he goes on. He's Chris Martin, and I like wearing the ceramic. I mean, I'm going to flip between the white and the black ceramic for the rest of the tour, but I like being like, that's the stage watch. Because I used to, you know, I've worn the 24.99 on stage. I've worn the
That's amazing.
5008,
I don't
like-
think anyone's worn a 24.99 on stage. I doubt Clapton would have worn it.
I remember wearing the 5004 at the Billboard Awards doing Bloodstream, and there's a bit at the end of Bloodstream where I go,
There's something great about knowing that you can take these watches and put them.
Also, every
their
single head of watch company that I've hung out with have said that all of these watches, like all the grand complications that are coming out of Patek, can be swum with. They can be. I think the minute repeaters maybe not. I think there's a bit of difference there, but all of these like great watches are durable. They're not sports watches, but they're durable. They're not these really like precious things. I would say I wouldn't swim with a 24.99.
No, and
but I would swim with a 52.70.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I won't even shower really with a watch. Will you shower with a watch on?
No, but that's more superstition of like wanting to get my wrist clean. You know, I'm like,
I don't know
well,
if that's
it's
superstition or just good old sensible thinking.
yeah.
There was one other. Oh, do you wear watches to sleep?
No,
I
find things around my wrist when I sleep weird.
Yeah.
I know people wear the things. That
I wear the
monitor.
Garmin when I go to sleep. I switch into a Garmin every single night.
I just don't want to know.
I
I sleep dreadfully. I've got 2 young children, so I sleep dreadfully anyway. I don't want to be like, oh, you got like 4 hours REM.
I know, but I just don't listen to what it tells me. I just want to see the time because it'll tell me how long I slept, and it'll say poor recovery. You slept terrible. You're gonna die in a ditch today. It's just like so uninspiring. These things are supposed to. I mean, my 5970 never told me prepare to feel like shit all day. You got no REM sleep. You had bad dreams.
So why do you even have a smartwatch?
I'd like to know what time it is in the middle of the night. I go like this. Bob got it. Go to bed because I don't want to pick up my phone. Ed Sheeran, let me ask you another question. Here's some lightning round questions. If you could get any watch brand tattooed on you,
Oh my god, you know, weirdly, I was thinking about this the other day, aside from watch brands, when I was getting my first round of tattoos, I almost got a watch tattooed here, almost. And like, I'm known for my terrible tattoos, I know this. Well, I mean, some of them are a bit weird, but yeah, I almost got a watch
what
tattooed.
watch would you have gotten?
It was that, I almost got that tattooed.
Would it have been photo real portrait?
I don't know. It would have been fucking dreadful. But no, if I was to get a watch brand tattooed,
And to think about how much you love the brand, but also graphically what their brand looks like.
I mean, I would do it for the story.
Okay, here's another lightning round question. I really want you to put your thinking cap on for this. Ed Sheeran, what is your favorite thing about the Spider-Man AP concept?
It makes me think that unless you're Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, or Andrew Garfield, like, who is it for?
But what's your favorite thing about it? Pick your favorite thing. Circle the best answer.
I just like concepts in general, so I like the fact it's a concept. I'd be interested to see if they're going the full hog and they're going to do a Hulk and a fucking Iron Man. And
If I were them, I would not stop now. This is not the time to stop.
But I do I mean, there's something in the pop culturalness of it. I just think it's, if you're going to do it, I don't know, it just feels a bit aggressive.
You know what I think about it? Here's my favorite thing about the Spider-Man. It's rendered very well. Spider-Man himself is rendered incredibly well. That's a beautiful rendering.
But it's 250 fucking grand. It has to be. Imagine if it wasn't.
No,
You'd be
that's
like,
right. But it's rendered very well, let's say, because it's easy to just shit on it. It's rendered very well. I love that when you flip the watch around and you look at the back, you still just see this dude's feet hanging out like he's stuffed in the garbage. You see his 2 little feet hanging out in there. Have you seen the back of Spider-Man's feet? Will you please just insert the picture of the back of the Spider-Man concept?
Can I just say?
And
Can
there's
I just
2
say?
feet coming out.
In defense of, I, like the rest of the world, when Code 1159 came out, went, not for me. And now, I'm like, some of this is for me.
I'll tell you why. But that's different. That's not you coming around.
No, but they might make an Iron Man where I'm like, that's for me.
But that's different. That's AP on the code, figuring out how not to put 6 different fonts on a dial, figuring out how not to have a white ring. They are actually changing. It's like the Ford Bronco when it first came out. You went, I don't know. The 5270, the first generation, is not very good. And you give it a minute and it actually figures itself out. So the latest code chronograph is lovely. So that's less about you adjusting to it. To me, if I'm being very thoughtful about the Spider-Man thing, I don't have a problem with a watch that celebrates Spider-Man. What I would have said if I was in the meeting is, let's make a Spider-Man watch that appears more like something Spider-Man himself would have worn, and not a watch that features a...
So more of a color scheme.
Yes,
Of...
put the 2 eyes on it, represent Spider-Man. Great. Is there a Marvel crossover AP concept that you would jump to buy?
With the same sort of design.
Same design. What's a Marvel character you would buy?
I mean, we spoke about this, and it's not Marvel. It would be DC, and it would be Batman.
Batman.
But that's because as a kid, Batman was my guy. Like everything was Batman. So that just leaning, and probably there's an element of that to Spider-Man. The type of people that would be buying that might have Spider-Man #1 comic at their house.
Right.
You know.
Right. So here, AP is going to work with you to work with any item or icon that you want on a concept open worked thing. You can put anything you want on there, but it's got to be another brand that is a collaboration with them. What are you doing in enamel painted, sculpted metal in the center of the dial?
Me personally, and it's a piece unique. No one else has this.
No,
it's not
I
like
think-
250. Oh, right.
I think
So
yours-
I'm getting judged on it.
Oh yeah.
Because if I'm not getting judged, Pokemon all day long. I'd have Squirtle in the middle, and it would be baby blue, rubber strap. You could
That's not bad actually.
Yeah, it would be.
That's actually pretty cool.
It would be a diver's watch. It would be like a proper. I'm just. I'm riffing.
No, this is
I'm
good.
just riffing.
I actually like this.
But in terms of like going out to the general, do you know, Squirtle. They're going to hate it anyway. They're going to hate. If I can stand by it and be like, this is my watch.
I think a Pokemon AP might have come out of you like a quirky. I don't mind it. What about a Heinz ketchup bottle? Would you wear one?
I've been given I've got another friend called Johnny that gave me a Heinz ketchup themed, where the seconds hand was a Heinz ketchup bottle. But no, Tingly Ted, the new hot sauce.
Yep.
From Heinz.
Tingly Ted, I've tried it. It's fantastic. It's a spicy ketchup. It's brilliant. Anything else you're interested in? Is there a new thing that's not watches that you're collecting?
I grew up. Both my parents worked in art. They both were curators of art galleries. So I've always been into art, and my dream is to leave all of my masters and publishing and put it all in a charity and set up a music school that is just surrounded with amazing art. It's just an art place. But that's where the end goal is. So I collect a lot of random art. Mm-hmm. I've sent you art before.
Yes,
you know,
I gave you a Daytona.
I did, yeah.
I gave you a Daytona for Christmas or something.
It was a great. I love that as well. That again gave me the. I think that actually gave me the steel bracelet bug. That one. I would never have thought to get a steel bracelet
each
before.
other.
No, but I love wine. I stopped drinking spirits, so wine is like my treat at the end of a gig. So a deep dive on that, and there's a wine called Mouton Rothschild, which they have a different artist to paint since 1945, since the war ended. They have a different artist paint the label for every single year. So that's quite fun going back and collecting the years. And it's very similar to the watch world, where like there's certain years you can't buy unless you say to the vineyard, the to Mouton, you're like, I will drink this. And so they go, okay, we'll sell you this bottle, but you have to send us a picture of it open.
Do you know
being
about
drunk.
this?
I don't know about that.
So,
Wow.
so I've drunk mad old wine.
Just to prove that.
Well, no, I'll drink it with my dad or something like that. But then I'll send a picture of the bottle and say, thank you very much. We had a great time with it. And I'm collecting all the paintings of it. Not the actual paintings, obviously, because they're like fucking Picassos and shit like this. But it's like all the bottles have each painting, and then I write on the bottle what we did that night. So it'll be like first Father's Day or something. We'll put that there, or it'll be like my 28th birthday in where the fuck, Belo Horizonte, and like put that.
Belo Horizonte in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, and so I drink a lot of wine, but I make it because I don't like being. It's very much like wine watches. I'm not going to buy a watch every single day. I'll get specific ones for specific things that will mean something, and there'll be a reason for it. So I don't want to just. I don't want to go to a bar and just down fucking petrol fluid gin.
Right.
I'm gonna have a night in with my dad, drink a really nice bottle of wine, have a really nice conversation with him about it.
I am the most inspired by you, more than anyone else in my life, in the way of how you interact with your own life and how you find pleasure in knowing you're alive, knowing this is a ride, making the most out of the ride, and making other people on the ride get the most they can out of the ride. You're one of the most inspiring people I've ever met when it comes to, in fact, I'll tell you something I've never told anybody. I'm a hotel room dweller. I've done this for a long time. I want to play. I tend to go into my hotel room. I come from a long line of people who don't leave the house. And meeting you and getting to hang with you and watching the way in which you interact with the world has been so inspiring to me that because of you, I've started booking studio days on days off. And I'll be damned if your way of doing it isn't the best way of doing it. And I just have to stop and say that your relationship with each and every one of these watches as a way of amplifying your relationship with your own life and your friends and travels is like unbelievable to me and ridiculously inspiring. So yeah, while I can say, hey, you should pick up this Elegante Jorn, you're doing as much for me in saying, hey, you should celebrate your success and go out and go to dinner. Pick a friend to go to dinner with. Leave your hotel room. Adventure into the world.
Do you know what? I honestly think since getting rid of my phone, life has been that, because it is all about human interaction, like actual human interaction. Like we hung out in Atlanta and we must have had like a 3.5 hour conversation before then hanging out at the gig and having more conversation. But like that is worth way more than like an email every now and then.
Yeah,
you know, actually
I couldn't agree more.
Actually having a deep dive. And yeah, I think that life is can be really fucking lonely at times, and I think that going out and having, like, that's why I want to leave all of these to people, so people have some form of memory of me, rather than, like, what does money really do once you've got, you cannot,
Right.
I plan to just spend it all before I go, or give it all to someone, like, or put it all in that charity thing to set up a thing. Like, I don't have I mean, I'm sure my children will watch this in years to come and be like, what the fuck are you saying? but like, you know, I've never met people of multi-generational wealth that are like happy and fulfilled, that get to do the thing that they really want to do, because there's this kind of like, or that they do the thing they really want to do and then the joy of it is stripped away because someone says it's only happened because of the thing. I think that, I do what I love for a living, but not, I did it for free before. Like,
That's
it's
right.
only it's only because people want to come to the concerts that I can charge tickets. But like, I used to play gigs every night for free. I'd go into the studio every day for free. This is my hobby. It's the same. It's the same thing as you. That's why it's good that you're going into studio on days off, because your hobby is making music. So you're either on stage playing and that's your hobby, or you're off stage in studio and that's your hobby. But either way, you're going to be happy because you're doing your hobby.
It's I found now on this tour that I'm doing that doing something you love is more regenerative than resting. And I always thought, oh, you gotta, if you're doing something that you love in between shows, you're actually regenerating more energy than if you were just laying in a hotel room. Ed, I cannot thank you enough. Some of this we've talked about before, but a lot of it is brand new to me. And as always, with every meeting I have with you, I leave inspired, and I know that everyone else has as well.
Dude, thank you so much. I've been so reticent to do this for so many years, just because I never felt comfortable just being like smorgasbord of watches. But I love the way that we've done it, of like, I sent them to you, you picked out the ones that you thought were interesting, and I think we're in a great spot. And see you for Talking Watches 2 in 5 years.
Yes!
With the Spider-Man. I've got to get the Spider-Man now. Have to.
Well, let me ask this question.
I might. Do you know what? I might.
Get a Spider-Man?
Just,
would
it's
do it if
fucking meta, man.
I would do it if you did it.
Would you?
I would get a Spider-Man if you got a Spider-Man.
Should we do it?
Would we be ironically wearing Spider-Mans?
There's nothing ironic about it. You'd have to wear it as well.
I'd wear it, but would you be wearing it? Would you be wearing? Okay, I will buy a Spider-Man, and I will wear a Spider-Man with the purest of heart and soul. If you do,
I think I would, yeah, if you did. If it was very much sort of like, we're in this together, fuck what they all think. I can't believe this is a really wanky conversation. I'm down for the Spider-Man if you are. Like if it's a buddy watch.
because I've learned that a story is important to you, and I would say that I got.
If
the
I'm like me
Spider-Man
and John got
because
these ironically
Ed and I-
and we wear them.
You want to shake on it right now?
Dude, I am 100% down.
As if you're showing a watch that you guys are talking.
So a deal is a deal. Ed and I are here a few months later after the Talking Watches video, and the Spider-Man watches have arrived. We pulled a couple of webs and got it done. Okay, this would be the first. Have you seen it in person yet?
No, never. Okay. Oh, it's a different. Wow.
Oh!
That is a really cool box. Whoa.
That's just too good.
And this would be
Thank you.
yours.
Thank you so much. In person, it's pretty fun.
It's gorgeous. Can you zoom in on that?